Welcome to Reset to Healthier Relationships, Sunday night at 9. I am your host, Coach Glenda, your Rise Again woman. Tonight is our finale on the series that we had going on for the past 5 weeks. This will be week 6. And tonight's topic, we are closing on the child's is innocent, the wife's pain is real, and the husband must be accountable. The marriage cannot heal without truth, structure, and emotional safety. So we are going to take a few deep breaths to get started, to set the mood so we can get relaxed and prepare for tonight's content. Because like I said, tonight is the final episode of tonight's topic. We are closing the healing part of the husband having a child outside the marriage. So let's take a few deep breaths in and out. We're going to breathe in. I'm safe in this moment. We're going to breathe out. I release the shame. We're going to breathe in. I can face the truth. We're going to breathe out. I do not have to rush. I'm going to breathe in. I am still worthy. And yes, you are. And we're going to breathe out. I choose wisdom over panic. So that's 3 good, long, deep breaths. We're going to breathe in. I am safe in this moment. We're going to breathe out. I release the shame. We are going to breathe in. I can face the truth. We're going to breathe out. I do not have to rush. We're going to breathe in. I am still worthy. And yes, you are. And we're going to breathe out. I choose wisdom over panic. All right. I want to always thank everyone for showing up. I know tonight is a holiday. It's Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to all of the fathers, all of the men that desire to be fathers in the near future. I don't want a night or a moment to go by without acknowledging all of the fathers online tonight. As we dive into tonight's content, bear with me 1 second, letting a few people in here. All right, so the child is innocent, the wife's pain is real, and the husband must be accountable. When infidelity brings a child into a marriage, healing cannot happen through denial, excuses, or silence. The child deserves love, the wife deserves honesty, and the husband must take responsibility for his choices. All right, a marriage cannot heal without the truth, structure, and emotional safety. Tonight, let's have an honest conversation about what healing, accountability, and restoration truly looks like. So we are going to dive in tonight's topic. Now, if anybody have any questions or concerns from last week, please come off mute. As always, feel free to, chime in, ask your question. Feel free to put it in the chat. We don't mind reading it. But we always want to make sure that you have a full understanding. And we also want to give you room to speak your truth. If you have anything you want to share from the past few weeks, because this is our 6th session on this topic. So we just want to make sure if anybody have anything they want to share, please feel free. Coach Carpenter, Coach Rufus Carpenter, and we don't want to take up all the time and do all the talking. The platform is not just for us, it is for you guys as well. Mr. Coach Carpenter, do you have anything you want to share before we dive in tonight's topic?
Well, I want to start off by saying I appreciate everybody that's on tonight. I appreciate everybody that's listening, everybody that's been on this journey with us, because you've been grateful, you've been helpful, you've been truthful, you've given some great testimonies, you've given some people a lot to think about, and it wouldn't have been possible that we could have done this tremendous healing job because we spent so much time talking about all the issues. of having a baby outside of marriage. We talked about it from the husband. We talked about it from the child's point of view. We talked about it from the other woman's point of view, and we surely talked about it from the wife's point of view. But you made the difference. You really made a difference. So tonight, let's get it on.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Carpenter, for sharing. Okay, so when we think about the reconnect phase of this healing process, uh, what comes to mind for you guys when you're trying to restore and you're trying to heal? What questions are you asking yourself right now? And I know some of us may or may not have been in this situation, but sometimes when you can put your feet in someone else's shoe, you always have a comment, or we're quick to say what we would have done if that was us in that situation. So the first question I will ask you guys tonight: what do you need to understand from him? What do you need to understand from your spouse at this point? If you was the wife and this has happened to you, what do you need your spouse to understand at this present time? Because remember, we're in our healing stage. What do you need him to understand? And this is between you and him. This has nothing to do with the other woman. This has nothing to do with the child. This is just you and him. And you're dealing with your feelings and emotions right now. What do you need for him to understand right now? As I
I
stated,
would basically,
go
I
ahead.
would basically need. I mean, to me, it'll be like the trust is broken.
Mhm.
So now he would have. I mean, once a cheater, always a cheater. So therefore, it's like, could I ever trust you again,
Mhm.
or is it more kids? I need him to be honest with me and let me know, are you still cheating? Like, I don't think it will ever stop.
Okay.
That that was spot on because that's the first thing came to my mind, that the trust was broken and the safety is damaged. Because if I can't trust you, I don't feel safe being around you.
Right.
And that carries a lot of emotional weight. If I can't trust you, don't feel safe around you, man, that's a heavy burden. That's another burden, another layer of burden. So Wanda was 100% correct on that one. Great job on that, Wanda.
Okay. Did anybody else want to come off mute and share their comment or speak their truth? Well, while
I
we're
guess what other people are thinking, I think he would need to say he's sorry. He need to fess up. He need to say, hey, sorry. He need to take the blame. He need to say, hey, I'm sorry, or he need to make the wife think that he's apologetic, or think that it got away from him some point of fashion. And the first thing, I'm sorry, or I ask you to forgive me. I need a new beginning.
okay. It's understood. I understand that. Now, for me, I would need for him to know that the pain that I'm feeling right now is real, and that my healing process is going to take some time. It's not something that I can get over immediately. This is something that is really going to take it's really going to take a process. It's going to take time, not 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. It's just going to take time because, like you guys have stated, the trust has been broken. And in the back of my mind, I'm probably thinking, is there anything else I need to know? Are you withholding anything else from me? So you guys, thank you so much for your comments. And they were right on point in your responses. Okay. Did anyone else want to share? Okay. Now, the next question you will probably have during your reconnecting, because like I said, we're trying to get to that that healing, to where we can be at peace with what is going on. We are trying to get to that acceptance phase in our marriage, to where, okay, I have decided to stay. Okay, there is another child outside the marriage, so we have a blended family. So the next question I would ask myself is, what kind of behavior would show real accountability? Because the husband has to show accountability for the mistake he made. He has to show that, he owns it. And I think, not, I don't think, but I heard Mr. Coach Carpenter say that he has to be apologetic. He has to be sincere with apologizing for what has happened. So, in your opinion, what kind of behavior would show real accountability?
I'll start it off. First, you got to tell the truth. That's the first leg.
Yes.
He's got to tell the truth.
Yes.
I'm trying to let somebody. Okay, I see it. I got it now.
Yes.
Okay. Has to tell the truth. Did I let him in? Or did I not get him in?
I did. I did.
Okay, good. Okay, I'm struggling with it. Okay, the first thing, you got to tell the truth. You have to tell the truth. And then he's got to be able to answer some hard questions.
Absolutely.
Because I'm sure the wife, she's not going to just say, well, okay. He has to tell the truth, answer some hard questions, and he got to be accountable for the consequences.
Right.
He can't say to the wife, you got to stay, you're going to have, you can't leave me, you just got to deal with it. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. And he can't rush his wife into making a decision whether she's going to go stay, forgive him, or whatever. That has to be something that the wife have to decide.
Right. Correct.
I would want to know, is it over? Was it a long-term thing? Was it a one-night stand? I would need to know all of those. I need all those questions answered. Were there feelings? Were you in love with her or infatuated with her?
Yep, you're right. You're right, because that's very, very important, because when you look at it that way, you have to realize something, because what action he's going to have from this point on, you want him to be transparent. Mm-hmm. So if he has feelings for it and it's going to continue, you will see it in his actions. So his actions dictate how he's sure from this point on. If he still loves his wife and want to stay there with his wife and keep the family and nurture that relationship back to health, then his transparency has to show that that's what he's doing. Mm-hmm. Now, if he caught feelings with this other lady and want to hold on to the other lady too, then once again, his actions will show that.
Yeah, taking responsibility without excuses and being transparent. Mm-hmm. That is what we're looking for. That is how he will show he is being held accountable for his actions. Okay, let's move on to our next question. What support would you need outside of him? So even after you got all the information, the who, what, where, and why, and how, what else would you need outside of your spouse to help you in this healing process?
You let her in already?
Yes, I did.
Okay, you're good. You're fast. I gotta give it to you.
What type of support would you possibly need outside of your spouse? Telling you everything, being transparent, letting you know, I'm just gonna throw it out there. It's over. I'm through with her. I know there is a child outside the marriage. I'm not gonna go back and sleep with her again, or I don't want a relationship. I want you. What else would you need at this point?
While everybody is thinking, you need somebody to talk to, because you can't deal with this by yourself. This is hard. If you've been in a situation like this before, it drives you crazy. Mm-hmm. You can't even trust your own thoughts right about now, because your heart is saying loving, forgiving, loving, forgiving, loving, and your mind is saying no. There's a wrestle with your own emotions, your own feelings. So you may need to talk to someone to sort this out. You might need a counselor. You might need your pastor, your friend, your coach, whatever. you can't just deal with this by yourself. So you're gonna need somebody outside of your husband. You're gonna need somebody that you can talk to. It's just no more than a sounding board. Just hear yourself say it, verbalize what you're feeling in your heart and in your head.
Sounds like she needs reset. She needs reset. She just needs to come on reset and speak it out loud. Do her venting on reset.
I'm glad you said that because a lot of people don't realize. Because I go back and look at the videos on YouTube, and when I listen to some of the things some of our participants say in their testimonies, man, I even glean a lot. I even learn a lot. The emotions in this thing, when you actually look at it, now some of my videos make you laugh. Now some of my videos are funny, but a lot of our videos are so grounded in truth and honesty that it's unreal. So, I got to tell you, when you come on reset, and not only you come on reset so much for yourself, but you come on reset for the people that listen to your story and realize if you made it, they can make it. Mm-hmm. When one of our first resets, one of our first Sunday night at 9, we did. One lady said, "You didn't know? I didn't know I could have got out of a failed marriage. Mm-hmm. I didn't know I could have said no. I didn't know I had choices. I didn't know I could get help." One lady said that, and when she said that, that touched my heart. That put goosebumps on me because I realized if you don't know, you just don't know. Right. So that's important.
Well, if you have the wrong people in your ear, you'll never know.
You're right.
Okay. You're right. So
anybody know, wait, let somebody else want, I know someone else want to share about that one. Okay. Anybody else want to share about that one? Because that's a big one. What kind of support you need outside of your husband? When you say outside of him, that's what you mean outside of your husband. What else does it take to make you whole, to get you back on your feet?
Counseling.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
You know what? So I know our topic say he had a baby outside of the marriage now. But what about the marriages where she has a child that's not his in the marriage?
Let me tell you, without me, I go crazy.
Okay, so you see that. So it's sometimes, and they don't find out until years and years and years later that's not his child, but she already knew or knows. So that's the way to look at it too. What do you do? I mean, we're thinking from a woman's perspective, but what about if it was then from the man's perspective? Would the same things that we say go in that same situation? I don't know.
Yeah, I can speak from a man's point of view. I tell you, a man can go out and cheat, and a man go out and cheat, and he expect his wife to deal with it, and he can deal with it. But when a wife goes out and cheat, how the records say that lands a little different. It's a little different because I think one lady said about 3 episodes ago, all men cheat. So I think women are prepared or conditioned or kind of not understand, but they kind of realize when a man cheat, they kind of say that's nothing new. That's an old playbook. But when a woman cheats like that, that lands a little different. Because a lot of times women are so attached to the relationship, so attached to the man that they would never do anything to hurt that man. They'll never, and especially men think they'll never do anything to hurt them. So when a woman do something like that, it's really blindsides you. And I know you're saying it's the same if a man do it, a woman do it, but when a woman does it, it kind of lands a little different.
Exactly. That's the murder suicide bail.
Yes, you're right.
Men can take it.
I disagree because there is no difference whether it's a woman or a man. Both of you are wrong. And it's just as simple as that. I mean, it may land different for a man and it may land different for a woman, but both of you are at the end of the day are wrong. Whether it is a male or female or a significant other.
Now, I agree with that part, but for some reason, that man's heart and mind just don't say that. It don't equate that, though. But you're right, but it just don't equate it.
Men can't take it.
You're right. I guess because we never had a child, we're not used to that birth pain, and we're not used to that struggle. I guess when it lands on a man, it's hard to realize.
Mm.
I guess we've been conditioned differently, I guess.
Y'all been cheating for so long. It's a habit for you guys.
No, I didn't say that now. Coach Glenn, I didn't say that.
But like the participants said, you're both wrong.
Correct. I agree there.
Yeah, so and you also stated that, women are conditioned to, that's the norm for men. I'm used to men cheating. I'm used to being cheated on. So that's nothing new. But when a woman does it, it's like the game changes. Like, oh my goodness. But I think in the very first episode that we spoke about this, someone brought this similar example up, and we was gonna do like address it from the female perspective versus the male, a woman having a child and the husband finding out later that it's not his. So when the participant brought it up tonight, I was like, yeah, that was one of the questions right out the gate in the first episode. So you're absolutely right. That's a totally different. But now I have been in that situation, and I think in that particular situation, the child was when he found out that the child wasn't his. This was through dating, never in a marriage, but it was during our dating phase of our relationship. He found out when the baby was 2 that the daughter that he was caring for the first 2 years of her life wasn't his. And the only reason why he had decided to get a blood test was because when me and my ex-husband used to date, when we started dating, the mother found out, and she started to act funny with the child, like he couldn't see her anymore. He could not come pick her up. It was like only the mom could come pick up the baby. Like my ex-husband's mom could go pick up the baby and spend time with her. But anytime he initiated coming to see his so-called daughter, it was always an issue. No, she's not here. She's with my mom. It was always an excuse. And me being young, I didn't know anything. I didn't have any kids. I was like, you sure that's your baby? Because why wouldn't a mother want the father to see their child? I'm young. I'm still in high school. So I'm like, that doesn't even make sense to me. And then he started to tell me about issues that they had in their relationship with all the men she used to sleep with, that he used to find coming out of her house when he would come to visit. So, when she started acting ugly, they eventually, long story short, got a blood test, found out that the baby wasn't his. And that was after 2 years of taking care of the baby. So all the money, time, and energy that the family invested in this child was lost. And he couldn't get anything back. So, it does fall a little different for a woman to have a child and it's not the father, or the boyfriend or the husband or whatever, and another man has been taking care of this child for so many years. It's like, it's not just the emotions that are being broken. It's like me and my family has invested not just money but time, feelings, and emotion in this child, and now you're telling her that this is not our child anymore. So you're right. This particular scenario with the woman, it falls different. But at the end of the day, both parties are wrong, whether it's the husband that cheats on the wife or the wife or the girlfriend that cheats on the boyfriend or the husband, and have a child and have another man claiming it for years.
Let me share this and then we'll move on because we're going to get through all this tonight. I was from a neighborhood in Virginia, a small neighborhood in Virginia, and everybody was close. All families were close and houses were tight next to each other, right across from each other. And everybody had anywhere from 9 to 14 kids. Mm-hmm. And in that when the women, I used to hear some of the older ladies talk. And when some of the old ladies talk, say, girl, don't let your son stand next to you. Don't let that son stand next to your husband, because he will definitely know. Well, don't let, in that neighborhood, a lot of people visit each other. They had sock parties and had outdoor picnics and all this stuff. They had a lot of things in the community, 'cause everybody got together community day. And this one lady told my mom, my mom told this other lady, don't let this son stand next to your husband, because if the people can see what she was trying to say, that if this certain man stand next to that child, they could see that that child is someone else's child. It was all kind of stuff. And what it was, that they could see that child was someone else's child. And as it played out, when we got older, because all of us grown now, majority of us senior citizens, and now the truth has come out that a couple of those guys, that people that are talking about back then, are somebody else's children. So that's something that happened a lot. A lot of times, that's when you said ladies do it. When ladies do it, they can take their stuff to the grave. When men do it, it's some kind of way we find out. You find out. The wife always find out. But when the wife do it, they take it to the grave. All right, let's go. That's enough with that one.
Well, he don't know. It won't hurt.
Children always daddy themselves.
Say that again. Say that again.
Children always daddy themselves.
Oh yeah, you're right. They pick you up. You're right. You're right. You're right. Let's move. Let's keep it moving, because this right here, there's a lot of stories I can tell you about this, even in my own family. But let's move.
Right now, so for our emotional safety right now, these are some of the most important tools that you may need to have when you're dealing with situations like this, and that you're able to pass on to someone that you may know that's going through this. But you have to have full honesty, no hidden communication. You got to have full transparency. Child-related contact only when it comes to the other parent. Child-related contact only. No, I mean, I know we can say, well, let's go school shopping. Me and you go school shopping so I can pay for it. No, you want to Cash App, Zelle. I mean, you want to just send me the receipt. You don't really have to go with the other person, because your wife may be in her feelings, or she may feel a certain way, and you don't want to, bring too much attention to, if she's still in her healing process. You don't want to bring too much attention to the situation, because then she'll start thinking, oh, you're still trying to be with her. No, I'm just going to pay for the school clothes. No, there's other ways to pay for school clothes. Okay. All right. No emotional intimacy with the child's mother. So definitely no school shopping. You can either do Cash App or Zelle. No emotional intimacy with the child's mother. That's a no. Cut it off. Cut it off. Clear financial transparency. Hey, you can track your deposits and your withdrawals through your banking account when you use Cash App, and you can use Zelle. Make sure everything is, wide open. You're an open book at this point, because you're being held accountable for the choices that you made. And I don't want to call the child a mistake, because I believe that all children are meant to be here. But you have to have clear financial transparency when situations like this happens. That's why they put child support in place. Respectful co-parenting boundaries. I think we spoke about this last week. How do you supposed to communicate with the other parent? We want to make sure that it is respectful at all times. You can't monitor what they say to you, but you can monitor what comes out of your mouth and what they hear. So just make sure you're respectful at all times. Even if she looks good in her clothes, don't say, "Oh, girl, you look good." No, don't do. Hey, how you doing? Let me pick up my baby boy, girl. No rushing the wife's healing. Once again, I tell you, it's not a certain time frame. It's not a 30, 60, 90, 6 months to a year healing process. However long it takes for your spouse to heal and get comfortable and be able to not look at you with strange eyes or mean mug you, let her have her time. Because in all honesty, while she's still processing, just by knowing that she's still there, that lets you know she still love you. She may turn up her nose. She may look at you and roll her eyes. Okay, and but she's still there. She's still dealing with it. She's still going through her healing process. So let her have that. Counseling, coaching, or pastoral support, if both agree. Now, it's wonderful, it's perfect, it's needed when both parties go. It's perfect. However, if the wife only needs it, or if she can only go by herself, and the guy and the husband is like, well, hey, I don't need all that. I told you I was sorry. No, okay. You can't make anybody, definitely a grown man, do anything that he doesn't want to do. But if you need it for yourself to help with your healing process, go out there and get your counseling. Go out there and get your coaching. Go speak to a pastor, a minister, anybody that will listen to you, so you can, have a free forum without any bias or any outside I won't say outside, but you'll have somebody's opinion about what you're going through, so you can make your next step decision. Because even though you decided to stay with your husband, you still need to know, okay, so how can I go through this process? How can I continue to go on every day and look at this man after he has broken the trust in our marriage? And you're absolutely right. It is hard to forgive. You can forgive, but it is hard to forget. You're absolutely right. And I don't think it's about forgetting, because I think we'll always remember, but how you deal with it. You don't want to forget to the point where you throw it back up in the other person's face. Remember, you cheated on me. Remember, this is how we got to where we. No, nobody wants to hear that. If you're going to be vindictive, you're going to be, have malice, intent, when you're going to do all that, then you may need to think about, you seriously need to think about your next move, because nobody wants to constantly have something thrown up in their face. I know for myself, if I make a mistake and I tell someone, or whether I tell somebody that I have offended, or if I just vented to someone, spoke to my confidant, I don't want someone throwing it back up in my face. I already know. I deal with this every day. I have to look at this every day. Like I said before, I think I said it last week, if not the week before, the child isn't going anywhere. The child isn't going anywhere. So it's a constant reminder of my mistake. But it was a mistake that has brought something out very beautiful, and which is the child. All right, we got a comment in the chat. Okay. Sometimes people think you forgot because you don't say anything. Yeah, that's true. I will agree. If you don't say anything, they think you forget. But do you really want to? I'm not asking you directly, but do you really want to constantly be reminded of a mistake that you made? This is, I'm just speaking hypothetically, just throwing it out.
I'm not the one making the mistakes often, so I'm saying yes. I'm gonna remind them every now and then. Yep.
Thank you for your honesty.
But when he said that, that makes you think about protection from family gossip and disrespect. Because like he said, he's going to remind you, your family going to remind you, and the gossip, you're going to hear the gossip. So that's a big part of it too, because your family going to say, girl, you know what he did? Come on, how you going to, girl, I hit him upside his head if I was you. You're going to hear that kind of stuff. So you're right, Andre, right. Some people will remind you.
That is so true. And I do understand that. But, that's when you have to limit the noise that you listen to. Sometimes you have to separate yourself. That's why I use that block function I always talk to you about.
Yeah, and that's the noise in your head.
Right.
That's the noise that's the noise that's in your ear. That's the noise in your ear that when other people talk to you. Now let's talk about the noise that's in your own head. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the conversation you have, the conversation script to yourself. When you found out about this, how did you feel? What are some of the things you felt? You know, when you found out about this, put yourself in this lady's shoes. When you put yourself in this lady's shoes, how did you feel? You know, what are some of the things you felt? You know, I know you felt shocked.
Mm-hmm.
I know you felt embarrassed. You can put it in the chat too. You can put in the chat, you come on mute and say it too also. I know we felt shocked, embarrassed, deeply hurt for sure. I know you felt like the ground moved beneath you. Like, whoa, I'm on shaky ground now for real.
I felt betrayed.
Go ahead, say that. I hear that again.
I felt betrayed.
Right.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And what's real anymore? Betrayed, and you don't even know what's real anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Anymore?
Heartbroken.
Okay, emotional unsafe. You know, or they expect me to carry this. You know, somebody said anxiety kicked in. That's correct. I saw that one in chat. You know, and you're in a story that you didn't even choose. Oh, you're the leading lady in a story that you didn't even choose. You know, so that's a lot there. That's a lot. That's a lot in that one. Now, what hurt you the most? Put yourself in that lady's shoes. What hurt you the most? What hurt you the most in that? Was it just because it happened? Or how you discovered it? Was it the secrecy? Was it the trust that was broken? You know, what hurt you the most? What's something that's in the chat?
Let's see. We got the fact that the baby was born.
Yeah, I guess that would be a hurt. That would hurt. And especially it's not your baby, so it would hurt. That would definitely hurt.
A hurt is made.
You know, the emotions having to deal with the consequences.
Right. Correct.
You know, someone said, I think last week we talked about the financial. You know, now you're thinking about the financial piece of this thing.
Right.
You know, $1 out of your household going to another person's household.
Yeah.
You know, those type of things. Okay, before you can even think about rebuilding, what do you need? If you're the lady in the middle of this, before you think about rebuilding, what do you need? Before you can think about rebuilding, what are some of the things you need? Now, if you want to put something in the chat, you can.
Counseling.
Counseling, that's a great one. Counseling, because sometimes, again, it's bigger than you. You need somebody to help you sort this stuff out. And that's great because you don't want to go crazy sitting in your living room or sitting in your bedroom or don't get out of the bed, always sleeping, never want to do anything anymore, shut down. No, counseling helps. Counseling helps. That's a great one. That's a great one. What else? What else? What do you need?
Okay, someone put in the chat, probably a $20 million ring.
No, you don't need that. Don't even go there. Take that one out. Scratch cross that one. You had 20 million. You were telling keep going with the baby. Because you definitely need to rebuild the truth. I know we're having fun now, but you definitely need to rebuild that trust. That's a biggie. You need their trust rebuilt. You don't need him. You need to do it without the person being defensive. Okay, what's a famous basketball player did not? Say that again now. Read that one. I saw something about a famous basketball player.
A famous basketball player did it for his wife when he cheated. Yeah, we don't have none of those on reset right now.
Yes, indeed. Okay.
Someone else put in the chat clarification that it's over.
Correct. And that's once again, that's going back to the transparency part.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because the behavior, constant behavior is sure. You need his behavior to be right. Okay. What boundaries you need put around his communication with the other lady? What kind of boundaries do you need on the communication with her and him?
Clear and respectful.
Okay. Now this is with the other woman and the husband. Okay, what did Gigi say? I've done with him because I missed that part. I was
done with him because I saw no reason to stay.
Okay, that was good. That's a good one.
And when I think about that comment right there that the participant put in the chat, I'm wondering, just thinking outside, was she already over him before this happened? Because if this was the first and only offense, would you have left if that was the first offense, or was it some other things that worked up to this? So that's my question in regard. Not, you don't have to respond, but I was just thinking that's what came to mind.
Some people one and done.
You're right, they are. Trust me.
Because I think one of the ladies
I can respond to it. I was done because he had done it before. Okay. And when the baby came, that was it. That was it. I mean, no more. I've had enough of it.
Okay, good. And the question was, once again, what boundaries do I need my husband to have around the communication with the other lady? And first thing, no secrecy. Right. And then conversation should be child only, about the child only. Right. Emotional conversations. What can I help you with? None of that kind of stuff. No. What do you have the child with? And you can't cross that line. The person have to respect the marriage. That's one of the biggest things. They have to respect the marriage. Okay. Any more before we go to the next question I want to ask? And then this is a good one. What way can you begin to rebuild trust? What way can your husband begin to rebuild trust? What do you need? How can you rebuild trust? What's gonna make you think that your husband now is on the straight and narrow?
Well, there's a comment in the chat, Coach Carpenter. I would never trust him again, even if we stayed together. That would be difficult for me. If you would never trust him again and you decided to stay, wouldn't the relationship be a little uncomfortable?
Well, relationship uncomfortable already because you had a child on the outside. So I think that whoever put that in there is saying it's already uncomfortable.
Yeah, but if you decide to stay, you still wouldn't be able to trust them again. Well, I mean, 10 years, the child was 10 years. It came out when, the child was 1 year old.
So let's talk about rebuilding trust first. Let's talk about rebuilding trust. How would the person rebuild the trust? What would they do? They have to stay consistent.
Right.
They would have to earn it back.
Earn it back. That's a good one. Earn it back. And they got to be willing to work hard. Because, and love will tear down a solid wall every day. He has to love his wife and want to come back. And he's got to work hard at doing that. Rebuilding, he got to take responsibility. He can't blame no one else but himself. Every time he looks at his wife and he see the pain in his wife's eyes, he's got to realize he did it. He's got to change his behavior. Mm-hmm. Period. And it's not just the emotional promises. He's got to walk the talk. He's got to actually talk and walk it out. Any more comments about that one? All right, Glenda, let me turn it back over to you because I just wanted to get that part out. Or you may keep rolling.
Well, in the chat, someone said behavioral changes takes time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right about that. Okay, so we have the co-parenting boundary map here. All right, so for co-parenting boundaries, you have to make sure the child has what they need: the food, the schooling, their health, the visitation, safety, and emotional care. So you have to make sure that even though it's a child outside the marriage, that the child's needs, not wants, not the bicycle or the PlayStation or the Nintendo or whatever game they got out now. Make sure the child's needs are met. And there has to be adult boundaries. No flirting, no private emotional conversations, no late night emergency calls, no secrecy, no disrespecting your wife. Now, you have already offended her. She is still in her healing process. She needs time to heal. So yes, she will be rolling her eyes at you. You may miss, or I won't say miss meals, because you can always go to a drive-through, but she may decide not to cook a couple of meals. But you have to make sure that you are being respectful to your wife at all times, because she decided to stay and she decided to work this out. Also, the marriage protection, transparency, scheduled communication, agreed upon boundaries, and no triangulations. This is for the marriage. You have to make sure everybody is open and honest in their communication. And you may have to set time, because this offense has happened, you may want to sit down with your spouse and say, hey, have date night more regularly now versus, whenever, you felt like going out or when the money looked right. Maybe you should, have a relationship evaluation time weekly or bi-weekly, to just check in with each other. How are you feeling today? Is there anything you want to talk about? Is there anything that I need to do as your spouse to make, our marriage better? I mean, because, right now, this whole thing has changed the whole dynamic structure of your whole marriage. And now you have to think of ways to protect it so this will never happen again. Do anybody have any feedbacks on, what other ways we can protect our marriage? Any other adult boundaries or any other needs the child may have that we may have not discussed or covered?
I was just
The
going to
child. Go ahead.
say, I think it might be difficult. Mr. Carpenter somebody was saying earlier, no conversations that are not about the child. But if you're keeping the lights on for the child, then naturally you keep them on for mama. If you're keeping food in the house for the child, then you keeping food in the house for mama. So it's kind of difficult to say only conversations about the child because the child's in the house with mama.
That's a great thing you brought up, Andre, because you're right. The child deserves care. The child deserves love, and the child deserves support. But the child mother don't get unlimited access to the husband's marriage. She don't get unlimited access to the husband household. She don't get unlimited access to the emotional piece of that other family. She don't get that. She can't be the wedge in the current family. There's a line that she shouldn't cross. There's a stop line. And now when she start crossing that stop line, the husband should snatch her back. But if the husband snatch her back, the wife ain't got no choice but snatch her back.
But see, that takes some maturity though from the baby mama, because not that she might be in love with the man, but she has a connection with this guy through this child. And so even if there's boundaries, the child may feel those boundaries and may feel this distance from his siblings.
Correct. You're correct. And that's a hard path to walk for everybody. So all I can say, they should be able to do the best they can do. But the adult people should be mature enough to realize there's boundaries and they shouldn't cross those lines. Because trust me, the other lady, she knows when she went too far. The husband know when he go too far. And sometimes the wife, she get to be picking at the other woman. Sometimes the wife even goes too far. If they're all mature people and love themselves and love that child, they will respect the boundaries. Okay, keep it moving, Glenda.
All right, Mr. Carpenter. All right. Well, Mr. Carpenter, let's see, we got something else in the chat. Okay, so we had in the chat, we owe something to the outside female. She has this child. We're in a different time now. You're absolutely right about that. 2026 is totally different from back in the day when I had my babies. And allow visitation at the husband and the wife's, okay, allow visitation at the husband and wife's house. Absolutely. I mean, I didn't know there was any other visitation outside of the husband and the wife's house, unless it's like unless it's an abusive situation, they have to be monitored or chaperoned. So thank you so much for your comments in the chat. But you're absolutely right about that. He does owe something to the female because he has the child. That's why they have child support. So, you know, when it gets to the point where a monetary value has to be put on what the other woman receives, that's when you have to go to court. Because if the husband and the outside female cannot agree on a reasonable amount, that's when the court system gets involved, and sometimes it's not in nobody's favor. So you're absolutely right about that. Like the wife spend time with the child. Yes. The wife does need to build a relationship with the child, especially if if he or she is coming to their house, to their home. You're absolutely right. All right, Mr. Carpenter, I'm gonna let you go ahead and
what?
yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the rise again, the 30-day plan. Let's talk about that for a minute. What does that look like? How do you rise? How do you rise? How do you do that? What does a 30-day plan look like? You know, as being the wife, let's talk about this for the wife, because for a wife to rise, this is where the wife stops spinning. This is where she start moving back with her own dignity. This is when she start getting back together. And what does that look like? You know, what does it look like when her 30-day plan? What she need to focus on for the next 30 days? If you're the wife or a person that's been in this situation, what you need to focus on for the next 30 days? The first thing, you need to get your sleep. Because if you're not sleeping right, then you can't focus. And if you can't focus, you can't function. You can't think. So sleep is the one thing you need to do, because a lot of times when your mind race and race and race, you can't sleep. So the first thing she needs to do on that 30 days is think about sleep. The second thing is that she needs to think, and anybody want to stop me or add something, feel free to just go ahead and speak up. The next thing she need to do is she need to figure out how to pray and some quiet reflection. She needs some type of quiet reflection. She needs some type of way to communicate with her, whoever, you know, her maker or her high authority, or what she feels grounds her or center her. She needs a support person, whether that's a counselor, whether that's a sister, whether that's a mother, whether that's an auntie, or whether that's a great friend, or whatever somebody she feels, somebody that she feels. Somebody put, I could not pray. Okay, and there's a time when there is a time when you can't pray because your heart is not there yet, but you can meditate. You can meditate. You can take some time out and sit there and meditate. And even if it means journaling, if you can't pray, journal.
Can I say something right quick?
Yes, please go ahead. This is everybody's time.
I was so hurt when he done what he did, and then, you know, after he mailed me the letter by mistake because he was talking to her, and that's how I found out. And there was a point where, you know, the only thing I could do was exist, was to eat. Sleep was out. I never slept for a solid month, maybe 2 or 3 hours, but I never slept. But I was, I had a pastor, which was my cousin, and that's who I talked to. And when he realized how bad I was, he would come every day. He never missed a day. Even when he preached, he never missed a day. And he would come over. He said, I know you can't pray, but I'm going to pray for you. And that's how I got through it.
And see, you're the person we're talking to right now. We're you 10 years ago or 5 years ago, whatever that time was. You're the person we're talking to right now. 10 years ago, 5 years ago, whenever that time was, you're the person we're talking about. And that's why we said sleep is important, because we know you're not sleeping. We know sleep is not a priority for you right now, but it's a necessity. And when I said that quiet, that prayer, or a quiet reflection, and I understood that. That's why I said prayer or, because you're right. It's hard for somebody to pray sometimes because you feel forsaken sometimes. And then when you said, I said that support person, and that support person apparently was your cousin that was a pastor. And I'm using you as an example. So I'm sharing what back then, this would have been a great support back then, because you'd have heard somebody saying what you really needed. And that pastor, your pastor came and he prayed and said, you didn't pray, he prayed for you. Because a lot of us, if the truth be known, a lot of us are where we are today because somebody prayed for us that we didn't even know was praying. Now, you were fortunate that you knew that your cousin was praying for you, but a lot of us are from prayers from grandma or somebody, auntie, or some cousin, or somebody loved you that you didn't realize prayed for you. So that prayer works. And then journaling. Journaling is a major way to start moving forward. Because when you start writing, you start writing, you see what you write, and then you come back and read it again, and you'll see where there growth, are there difference, and you can see from what you put down are you getting better, or are you going loop to loop, or are you going in circles? So that journaling is very important. I got to say finances, because anytime there's another mouth to feed, or another person, or somebody's bleeding from money from your household, finances is the issue. So financial awareness is very, 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 very important. Like to say, we can't do nothing without finances. So that's something that we need to really focus on the next 30 days if they're in that situation. Boundary clarity. And these boundaries are for your husband. These boundaries are for the other woman, and they're surely for yourself. Because you have to put boundaries on yourself, because I don't want you trying to shoot nobody. I don't want you cussing nobody out. I don't want you trying to hurt nobody. So boundaries are for yourself too. And some boundaries is, I will not cry every day. I will make my butt get out of bed. These are boundaries that you have to put in for yourself. I will take walks in the afternoon. Whatever you need, those boundaries are there too for yourself, the child, the other woman, everybody in concern. Those boundaries you need to put in place. And that's very, very important. And you got to have one calm conversation a week. One calm conversation, whether it's with yourself or whether it's with somebody. And the reason why you have that calming conversation, because it gives you a chance to start getting a foundation, start giving you a chance to get your sea legs under you. Mm-hmm. So you got to have one calming conversation per week. You can't vent on social media. You can't rave on. You can't go to social media. This MF or this that this. You can't vent on social media. That's not the place. You can't vent on social media. That's a no. You can't do that. Get out. Just stay off social media for a minute. Just stay out. Just shut it down. Just shut it down. You definitely can't argue with the other woman. That's one of the boundaries. You can't argue with the other woman. I see social media is a devil. You're right. In this situation, social media in this situation would be the devil. All right. I saw that in the chat. That's correct. You can't argue with the other woman. It's just something you just cannot do. Okay. And please don't make any of the major decisions while you're emotional panicking. Please don't make no decisions then. Like Glenda said, I think Coach Glenda said, wait 72 hours. Or this is a 30-day. Wait the 30 days before you make decisions. And this is what I'm telling you to do. This is that 30-day peace plan. And if you want Coach Glenn to send you a copy of this, just put it in the chat. And she'll send you a copy of this. Matter of fact, she'll send you a copy of the whole transcript so you can help you out. Any questions about the 30-day plan before I turn it back over to Glenda? Coach Glenda, I'm sorry, Coach Glenda. Any comments about it? All right, Coach Glenda, you can close us out.
Okay. I put the plan in the chat if you're interested. Or you can always send us an email and I can send it to you that way. Either way is fine. But as we close tonight, remember the child is not the problem. Unaddressed hurt is. Healing begins when the truth is acknowledged, accountability is accepted, and emotional safety is restored. Whether rebuilding the marriage or moving forward separately, no lasting healing can happen without honesty. Thank you for joining us for tonight's open live discussion. Until next Sunday at 9, continue to reset, reconnect, and rise. And happy Father's Day to all the fathers again, even for the ones that joined us late. Day. Yes, thank you so much for showing up as always.
Hotel Trivago.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.